Hello, hello, and welcome to the podcast. I'm very lucky slash honored today by the king of content himself, Mr. Jerry Lyons. Jerry, thank you for coming on today and joining us.
Thank you for that lovely introduction,
Um,
Chris. Very nice. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I accept bribes after the show is finished, so you are more than welcome.
There's
So,
a there's a tenner in the post.
oh, well, thank you very much. So I've been stalking the life out of you in preparation for today's podcast. So you made the transition from being a journalist through to being a estate agent content creator. How
Yeah.
does that jump or that transition come around?
So it's a bit of a you have to sort of rewind back to the two about 1999, when basically from the age of 20 to 30, I had jobs I just dicked about. I was just a glorified DOS. I left school with no qualifications, went into building, was rubbish at that, ran some warehouses for a while. And then around 1998, sorry, I become a market trader. Like I always say to people, don't think of Wall Street, think of Del Boy. I was doing those sort of markets, not financial markets. And I did that for 2 years. And that really taught me about how to market, because it makes me laugh sometimes when people talk about marketing because they make it sound harder than it is. Now, these market traders, they knew about marketing. They were the top ones were unbelievable in terms of the way they laid their stall out, their pricing points, the way they'd attract a crowd before they sold anything, the spiel, the sales pattern, all this sort of stuff. So I learned loads when I was on the market stalls. From the market stalls, I went and started up a removal company because it was just easier. I could just get a van and a couple of lads and set up. And that was in West London when we lived in London, and that really flew. It just went incredibly well. And I sold that. That was in 2004, and then I had like a year where I did nothing. I just money was coming in because that was part of the deal. I couldn't go back into removals. I certainly weren't going to go back into markets because it's a very hard game. And then I thought I've always wanted to be a journalist. I was good at English, and I thought I always wanted to be a journalist. I was 32 at the time, and I went, I'm just going to ring up the local paper, Herald Observer, and ask for work experience. So I went in there as the oldest work experience they've ever had, because obviously work experience in a newspaper, I'd imagine it's like an estate agency, 16, 17-year-olds, maybe 21 coming out of university. And within 2 months, I got a job, really underpaid. Like I was paying to go to work almost, but I liked it, enjoyed it. Qualified as a journalist, got loads of experience in journalism. Um, then I left that and started up my own magazine company, Hyper Local Magazines, which I ended up selling as well. But how the estate agency stuff came about was probably 2012. Mate of mine, he's still around. He's not an estate agent because he sold his business. Kyle said to me, there's these things called blogs that I've heard about. I think estate agents should start writing them. Can you write me one? And I was like, at the time I was working in PR, and I thought, no, I'm no interest in estate agency. I had the perception of, oh, all dodgy, blah, blah, blah. And then he just said, I'll pay you 100 quid. 100 quid. And the 100 quid, like, well, that's pretty good. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty good now to write a 500-word blog. And it started off, I was just writing blogs for him. Then a couple of other people asked. Then a couple of other people asked. And then it sort of grew from there. And then started offering content and PR services to estate agents. And that's how I got to know you through YouMove, because I was doing YouMove's PR for a couple of years. And that's how we sort of got into it, really. And it's grown sort of from there.
Okay, so we're up to where we are to today. So if
Yeah.
I dropped you into an estate agency business, let's say I had an estate agency business and my content was slim, let's say I do the occasional Facebook video of I've got a house coming on the market sort of thing, but that's it. What would be
Yeah.
the first steps you look at to kind of get me on the up?
Yeah. So we look at a sort of content MOT. First thing, we'd look at your blog page. And if your blog page said news and it was an old blog, that's not news. So that's the first thing we look at. And if you've got no blog page or news section on your website, we'd say, look, if you're not going to update it, it's better not to have anything. It's better to have no blog than an old blog. So something simple like that, we'd look at what your blog output is. We would look at your social media output on Facebook, mainly Facebook, landlords, maybe LinkedIn if you're doing rentals. TikTok is videos, but I'm still sort of mixed about that to a point. So we'd look at your output on the different channels that you've got available. But the one in particular, which is often overlooked, is your email, because I've met estate agents who've got databases of like 20,000 people and they're not doing anything with them. And by that, I mean, they might send out the odd, oh, we've got this property coming on the market, but they're not doing anything to sort of inform or educate or even entertain them, really. So that's often that's probably the biggest missed trick I see in the estate agency is lack of focus on your email database, because everyone's like, we do videos on LinkedIn or da, 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 da. You forget emails are pretty good. If you've got their email and you're not going to abuse it, which you shouldn't do, that's a good little outlet. That is a good little outlet for a lot of agents.
I remember going on Simon Ledbetter's 30 years of marketing. I always call it 30 days of marketing, 30 years of marketing. He's been doing it longer
Yeah.
than that. And I remember Simon saying, email is the one thing that you need to get into. If you're not doing it, everything on your website should be based around people giving your email address. And I was like, I'll give it a go, I suppose. And I literally entertained Simon by sending out an email. As soon as it came back, I was like, I'm sending out more. And it went from every like quarter to every month. Now it's every 2 weeks. If I could send an email every day, I'd do it.
You know what? It's funny that, right? Because we've got enough content to do it daily. And I know some people do. I guard against it
You think it's too
because
much?
I
You
think
go too much
it's
OTT.
too much. I think you're better off. We do it, and I know some other people in marketing do it, where you do a weekly roundup. So you might have 5 bits of content you can go day, 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 day. Just bundle it up into a week, and then people can send it out. I was funny enough, I was looking at email stuff the other day because I looked at the 2 emails that I always open, because you can check which ones you always open. My accountant, he was one of them. But also, have you heard of this guy, James Clear, Atomic Habits?
Yep.
So his Thursday email I always open. And there's a physio guy whose whose emails I always open, because I know James Clear comes on a Thursday, the physio one comes on a Friday. So they're good days, and they give you a sort of bit of a clue as well. If James Clear is sending out an email on Thursday afternoon, there's a reason. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? He's got a big team that can do all the research and all that sort of shit. I copy that. We've actually said, I said yesterday to our team, we're going to start sending out emails on a Thursday afternoon.
Well, forewarning to everyone on my newsletter, the newsletter might be changing from a Friday at 12:30 to a Thursday at 12:30 very shortly.
But here's the thing, because I was looking at Friday, think, end of the week, da, da, da. But the research was showing us a lot of people, especially estate agents, remember they get a busy morning. Lunchtime on a Friday can be completions, people coming in and out of the office, keys flying all over the shop. Thursday just made sense. Thursday, and I did the thing of checking with Chat GPT, and it confirmed Thursday. So
Oh, there you go. Well, ChatGPT is never wrong, so let's go.
yeah. The computers are never wrong. So yeah,
So
yeah.
you've dropped into our estate agency business, and straight away you've gone, right, blogs are either non-existent or out of date, and you've got sort of the email side of things is either kind of non-existent, out of date. What other areas would you look at to kind of go, are you firing on all cylinders effectively?
Video output.
Yep.
Um, let's think. Right. So we go blog, email. We look at your social media output. We'd encourage automation of your content being distributed. By that, some estate agents go, "Oh, my team haven't got time to post." Yeah, but it's fine. Go and get something like auto social. Do
Yep.
you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, 60, 70 quid a month, post out everything for you. Or a virtual assistant. They're the cheapest chips nowadays, especially the overseas ones. Just make sure you're consistently getting something out every day. So we'd look at that. I mean, if we were really getting detailed, we look at your tone of voice. And that was the thing that I loved working with You Move, is because it had a clear tone of voice. And it used to make me laugh because I'd hear criticisms of You Move when I was working as You Move's PR. Oh yeah, the way they talk about state agency, they're so flippant, blah blah. They're speaking the language of the people they're dealing with, the homeowners. They're not stuffy. That was the great thing when You Move first came along. I know that they were playing up on the cheap puns a bit, and I actually thought it was a bit too much. I actually said I think we just need to dial that back a bit. But they sounded different. And then Purple Bricks come along, and they sounded really different because they were a bit of attacking the estate agency. I disagreed with. So the estate agent's tone of voice is really important. And some estate agents go to me, well, how do I nail my tone of voice? we always say, if you could be a celebrity or a sports star or somebody like that, what would you want your agency to sound like? And now in the past, whenever we've had some really interesting replies to that because we've had uh, women often say, I want it to sound like a Holly Willoughby type voice. You know, like, I'm a friend, I'm your friend. You can have a chat with me. You can trust me, blah, blah, blah. We've had David Attenborough. I'm trying to think of the other one. Keanu Reeves. But the interesting thing is a lot of the characters that people want their agencies to sound like all have things in common, like they're authoritative,
Yep.
they're trustworthy. Ant and Dec always used to get mentioned, especially from Northern agents as well, and that's not been stereotypical or anything. That was the data that we had, but a lot of Northern agents go, yeah, kind of like Ant and Dec, you know, like somebody who knows what they're doing. They're super professional, but you can have a chat with them, you can relax with them. So that's tone of voice is an important thing, and a lot of agencies don't know it. Easiest tone of voice tip: stop saying vendors. Oh my God, I hate that word. It's ridiculous. Honestly, you don't say it, dear. Please tell me you don't say it.
Neither confirm or deny.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, right? Because when I started off in the business, I hated the word content because content suddenly became everything. Now my businesses are called estate agent content, you know, estate agent content club. So things do change, but vendor, it's just so out of date. It shows, I think if you use that word in your agency, shows you're a little bit out of date.
And what should, if an agent was listening to this and they were thinking they want to put some marketing content or a blog out there and they want to refer to people who are looking to sell their property, what would,
Sellers.
yeah,
It's so simple. It's
yeah,
not rocket science. Because, right, who describes themselves as a vendor? Right? You might get 1 in 1,000 people selling their house. Like, I'm the homes vendor. Like literally, I've never heard of it. And I've been dealing with property, buying and selling and renting and all that sort of stuff. Donkey's years, 30 years. Never ever heard somebody say, oh, he's the vendor. I've heard estate agents say that. Hot dog vendor, t-shirt vendor, you know, they're the sort of people that are vendors. I don't get it. Somebody will come, oh yeah, but it's a legal term. Yeah, big deal. It's what people, if you ask 10 people in the street, are you the home seller or the homes vendor? What phrase there fits best with you? Honestly, Chris, they're going to say, yeah, we're selling the home. We're not vending it. It's not a vending machine. Ah, it just winds me out. It literally winds me out, that word, vendor. Yeah,
I always think of the sort of the down the pub test, and that is if you said it to your friends down the pub, would they look at you like you're an absolute idiot? And
a
then,
100%. We got this thing. My missus is called Wendy, yeah, and my clients now actually refer back to the Wendy test. So Wendy doesn't work in estate agencies. She works in education and the NHS, yeah. But I'll run a bit of marketing by her. Whenever I get a bit of marketing from estate agents, I love printed marketing. I think it's because I was a newspaper journalist back in the day, but I love printed marketing. And I'll go to her, what do you think of that? And she's a straight talking northern lass, right? She'll go, oh, that's nice, or that's rubbish, or what do they who do they think they are, or blah blah blah. You get a real good response. And there's another little test on marketing. I don't know whether you do it, but I always do it. I do a real-time test. So if somebody asks me to check something, I'll go, right, okay, I'll look at it at 2 o'clock and I won't look at it before. And I'll do a video on Loom mainly now, if it's digital marketing or if it's a bit of printed that I can film. And I'll do it real time. So I won't sit down and analyze it because the punter who you're trying to attract, they ain't going to be sitting down and analyzing it the way we are. I'll do it in real time to go, right, okay, so yeah, oh, good first image, strong, clear message, you know, easy to navigate, not got 1,000,001 call to actions, but do it in real time. And I say to estate agents, if you're going to sort of get someone to review your marketing, a bit like you, get your mates down the pub, do this sort of Wendy test and do it in real time because that is how the punter, the person you're trying to get in front of is going to be doing it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
makes absolutely perfect sense. And I've done that quite a few times, and I've kind of thought to myself at the time, this works quite well. I don't know why I haven't kind of kept doing it for just for everything effectively, because it's big fan of a video. So yeah, that's a good tip. I'll take that one on board myself on that one.
Yeah, it works. It works, I think. Yeah, it
So,
works for us. It works for us anyway.
so we talked about things like tone of voice and sort of where the message should be going. What's the end goal with regard to the content you put out? So let's say, for example, you got a blog. Should it be ask, ask, ask? Should it be give, give, give? Should it be value, value, value? What's the sort of balance between give, take, all that sort of direction?
With things like blogs and posts and all that, it used to be, and this shows you how quickly things evolve. I'd say 10 years ago, it was give, give, ask. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk had something like jab, jab, hook or something like that. He had it like reference. Do you remember?
Yep.
Now I think it's just give, 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 give. I think it is literally the ask is you're asking, can I help you? You're not, oh, I want your business. It's asking, can I help you? Can I help you more? What can I help you with? And I think the best, and honestly, I've dealt with hundreds of agents over the years, but I could say the best 5 or 10 that I've ever worked with and still work with, they're the most generous with their time. And that's with people in the industry or their clients. They just like helping. I think it's something natural. I don't think you can, I don't think you become an excellent agent if you're not got a bit of generosity of spirit, like a
Yep.
real top tier agent. So to go back to your point, I think with your content, you want to get awareness and attention. Attention is the most valuable commodity in the world now, in the digital world anyway. Attention and just keep asking how you can help them. Just help, 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 help. Do you know what I mean?
So I went to an exercise, God, when did I do this last? About a year ago, but I've dated it about 6 months ago. And I think it's called the 99 Problems exercise, which is where you write down who your ideal client is, what are their problems, what are their issues, what are their
Yes.
concerns,
I
what do
like
they
that.
know, what do they not know. And for me, it's a spreadsheet. It's like a meter long spreadsheet sort of thing of all these kind of concerns. And it's literally like that's your like your content guide for the future for the next 10 years.
110%. That's brilliant. I like that. Now I'm going to do that myself, 99 problems, because we've got that. The main problem that we solve is estate agents' time. And another problem is probably they haven't got the skill set to be able to write content or create it or produce it. But and I don't know if you've heard of the book. I've got it here somewhere. It's called They Ask, You Answer. And it's about a guy, content marketing. He's probably, I think his name is up there somewhere. I've got all these books. I've barely read any of them, if I'm honest.
Look good though.
Hold on. It's They Ask, You Answer, and his name is something Sheridan. I can't read his first name. I think yeah, Tom Sheridan, something like that. But what he says is, and he did it with his business, which was a swimming pool business in America, struggling, really, really struggling in this business. And then he said, well, there's so many questions I get asked about people. "Oh, what's the best swimming pool for this? And how should I do that? And what's the best chlorine?" And he just created his whole content strategy around help. That's all it was, help and education. And now for estate agents, that's a massive opportunity because when you're selling your house, like for us at the moment, we're thinking of moving, but we're weighing it up. So I'm quite lucky because I can speak to really top agents and say, like, what would you do? What do you think? What should I be considering? Um, but the questions I've got, a lot of people will have, and that's the opportunity for estate agents to go, these are the questions our potential clients are asking. Let's give them the answers through blogs or videos. One of the things that we always recommend to new clients, if they're ever thinking about generating content and ideas, is get together as a team on a Monday morning or whenever it is and just do a list, a bit like you said, 99 problems. What are the questions we always get asked? It could be, what's a mortgage in principle? What's the best way to prepare for viewings? Or I don't know, how do I know what level mortgage I can get? You know, like that, and just write them all down and then start building content around that. And that's how we do stuff here. We have a news meeting. The girls that work for me are journalists, former colleagues, and myself. And we'll sit down and we'll write down loads of ideas and what's the problems people are going to be having this month. And then we just write the content for that month based around that.
And is that where does that kind of build the foundation for your marketing message in general? So that would be, the email content, well, it might be, how to prepare your home for selling, for example. Your social media might be around how to prepare your house for sale. And, your blog content is, 5 tips about how to prepare your house. And it's kind of all back from that sort of question list.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I don't know what our content pack has been this week, but it will be questions around that. You know, I don't know. I should have checked really, but it's things like what to do if you're downsizing. So we've got a guides and we do guides and stuff around that. So we do more detailed stuff. But think of the questions people are asking because I remember, I think it was Josh Fegan. Well, no, it was Josh Fegan, the Australian trainer coach guy. Um, he said, stop treating all your clients as if they're the same. He said, if you've got a seller of a house, he said, they're not the same. One might be selling to downsize, one might be selling to upsize, one selling due to divorce, one selling due to relocation, one selling due to family home. And you've got to build your messages around that individual, and build your content as well. So that was really good advice, and we took that on board and tried to really mix up our content and make sure we try to treat people as individually as possible with the content we're giving them.
So do you think that's a mistake that agents make is they kind of tar everyone with the same brush and then they ask for the business on top of that as well? Because I think nowadays online, everyone can kind of smell a sales pitch about 20 feet away sort of thing and are very adverse to that sort of feeling of I can feel something creeping in on me sort of thing. So do you think that's a
Yeah.
mistake that agents are making across the board?
Uh, I think the really good ones, and it goes back to natural instinct. I think the really good ones just naturally like helping. So their whole culture of their agencies are like they want to help. And I know that might sound woolly, with data and all this it plays a part and all that. But I think the best ones instinctively want to help. I do think you touch on something there that I think is super important now, and that's authenticity. There is no hiding place. Like I know some agents will convince you they are smashing the market. Listen, company's house is quite an easy thing to do.
Mhm.
I'm not being funny. It's an easy thing to go. Well, you said you had a great year last year. What do you do? Take it all in cash because you ain't put it through your company's house, and that's only a cursory little. Do you know what I mean? And I think that people are so, and this is where AI is dangerous. It's brilliant and dangerous. I've seen videos where agents have used the AI to do the talking. It's so obvious. It's like, look, that's rubbish
Mm.
because it might serve you a purpose in the short term, but it's not going to build you a real powerful brand because everyone can do that. Just be authentic. It's like on your video, I'm an there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? You're estate agents, not bloody TV presenters. You're not Claire Balding. Do you know what I mean? So I think authenticity will become even more important because people want to deal with. I'll give you an example, Chris, right? I know free agents, and the reason why I know this because when I mentioned it, they all got back to me and said 100%, right? Who put out, their bloopers for their
Yep.
videos. They've done some really good. These free agents I'm thinking of who got back to me got some brilliant videos. Do you know what I mean? Really high level, without looking like a Hollywood film, because that's another risk I think for agents. And they said they got more reaction to their bloopers reel from clients and potential clients than they did the actual video. The actual video where they're talking about their agency or showing a property, the bloopers, the real bit, the real stuff, not the highlight reel, that was the bit that got the reaction. So I think if agents can be as authentic and real as possible, do you
I
know
love
what I mean?
that. No, I really love that. So you talked just now about the importance of giving back. So you've segued me quite nicely to the Karma Club. So
Karma Club, yeah.
walk me through what is the Karma Club?
So the Karma Club is we're celebrating 5 years of the Estate Agent Content Club this year, September. And right from the start, we had this thing called the Karma Club. Now we're a membership business, so estate agents pay us a monthly retainer. So £5 of every member's monthly retainer goes into a kitty. We call it the Karma Club kitty. Now that it varies 500 to 700 quid, depending on how many members at any one time. But it's usually around 500. That's our average per month. So that's the Karma Club kitty is for good causes. So every month we go back to our members, normally at the start of the month when we've worked out the last month, and say, right, guys, we've got £500 in the kitty. Do you have any community groups or charities you want to support this month? Now they come back to us and say, oh, right, yeah, the local football team, we're doing a bit of sponsorship with them. They need a bit of help. So we go, okay, here's 100 quid, here's 150 quid. The amount we give varies. It could be that we've done things like the local book club. I remember that was one where the agent give 100, we give 100. Normally it's match funding. So if the agent gives 150, we'll match fund it with 150. So that's been going for five and a bit years. It started a bit before the Estate Agent Content Club, and since its inception, we've donated more than £60,000. So it's a big key part um, of what we do. Why did we start doing it? When I had the removal business, we had a charitable arm there. We gave 10% of our profits at the time, and it was good. It was good business removals to a local homeless charity. But what I found was, especially the market we were dealing in this part of London, middle class West London, they loved that, and that was our point of difference. And I recognised because I used to do all the quotations for the removal company. The minute I said about our 10% link up with the local homeless charity, people sort of drop their guard. They realise, you know what, these lot are good fellas. They're nice people to deal with, and that won us loads of business. Now, I'm a big believer in business is can be used for a lot of good. I've got to be honest, I don't like programs like The Apprentice, Shark Tank, and all that. With business has got to be so cutthroat and all that. And I think we're moving away from that with things like B Corp and the sort of emphasis on ethical businesses, because one great thing about the internet, there's no hiding place. It's not like the old days where estate agents could sort of put stuff under the thing and, you'd only hear if somebody was dodgy because your mate used them and they were dodgy. There's Google reviews, there's Trustpilot, there's social media for good and for bad. So yeah, the Karma Club sits as is a very important part of what we do, and it does give us a lot of pride. Yeah, yeah, it's
I
important.
think I'll more than publicly say that's amazing. In all honesty, £60,000 over, well, £6,000 over any time scale is amazing. 5 years to put £6,000 into charity and local causes. I mean, well done, you and the team, mate. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and that's the support of the agents as well. Got to give the agents their due as well, because we work with, I think the industry that gives most back to local communities are estate agents, and that's across the country. And that's people that aren't our clients. And some of the bigger boys do really good stuff as well. The bigger boys and girls, the corporates are sort of getting involved, not as much as independents. I think a good independent, like a location, Paramount Properties, lesser ones that you might not have heard of, like Property Cloud over in Dartford. Aaron, always giving back to their community, always, always. And there's lots of agents like that. And I think it's important. And it just makes you feel a bit, I don't know about you, sometimes I'm not really money driven. So it's a bit like, I don't really need much to survive. Um, but adding a bit of purpose to a business gives you that little bit of extra oomph, I think. So, yeah.
I really like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to think on that for the foreseeable future, probably next couple of months or so, and think about how I can help and do that as well. Because I think that's really, really good. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
we get asked that a lot about because we always have a charity of the year. So the last five charities, we've done a homeless charity, a cancer charity, a sports charity, a sports football team, a girls football team. That was more of a personal link as well. So my daughter's big into football. And we always get asked, I'm thinking of doing a charity of the year, but what should I do? What do you reckon I should do? So the couple of things, do something that you feel passionate about within your agency. It could be homelessness, it could be mental health. I know some women agents have wanted to do like promote women's mental health and stuff like that, or women's group in their area. So support something you've got an interest in or sort of passionate about, something you want to really roll up your sleeves and help. And remember, for some agents, go, well, I haven't got loads of money to donate to them. You could donate expertise. Just say to them, we'll give you an hour, 2 hours a month. How's that? Volunteer, just volunteer. And I think an agency having a charity of the year is it's actually good for business, I think, as well. And I think it's good for them, good for the people. It's just we sometimes forget. We always see ourselves as professionals. We're people first. We've got to be motivated by something. Don't get me wrong, if you're motivated by money and watches and cars, it's all right, it's fine. But most of our clients aren't, if I'm being honest. I think ours sort of want deeper meaning in life. I think.
I like that a lot. So, talk to me about the ethical agent network then. So, it's literally written on the wall behind you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is
So
it?
that
What's it all about?
that was a spin-off from the Estate Agent Content Club, which is still going, and that is our bread and butter, the Content Club. There's no doubt about that. But it was funny. It was a negotiator interview about 2 years ago. I got asked, and I think they asked Chris Watkin and some other people, like what makes really good agents. I'm sure Chris got asked as well because me and him talk often. What makes a great agent? And you'll have obviously a view on this because you've worked with like hundreds yourself. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, all the top ones are really well trained and have a training culture. Yeah, all the top ones are hard working and have a high performance sort of culture as well that they build. And then it sort of dawned on me. I was thinking, and then I just thought the really best ones have got the best ethics. They do everything really transparently. Hence, they've got the best reviews on Google. They treat their staff and suppliers really, really well. Do you know what I mean? I'll give you an example. There's an agent out there that bangs on about ethics, and they took something like 5 months to pay us for one. I think it was 200 quid. It was nothing. It was nothing. It was the principle, though, in the end, to me. Do you know what I mean? I thought, stop banging on about how ethical you are when you can't even pay someone. You've got, oh yeah, Jerry, I'll pay that next week. Oh yeah, do you know what I mean? I think the best agents are the most ethical. And off the back of that, we had a lot of agents in our group that were sort of like, oh, we should maybe look at building a network. And so we're building it. It's in the early days. It's about a year old. We've got about, I think it's about 33 agents on board. There is criteria. It's not just pay to play. You have a certain amount of Google reviews. You've got to have a certain amount of money that you can prove you've donated to charity within the 12-month calendar. There's a bit of peer review as well, where we ask members in the group, have you heard of these agents? What do you think? That sort of thing. So but yeah, we're looking to build that. I think that's going to be the sort of future of our business over the next few years. But like I said, the content club is still very much our bread and butter. And yeah.
And what do you think makes, is it that transparency that makes an agent ethical, or is it kind of judging themselves by the actions they take? What's the sort of, if you were going to look at your stereotypical ethical agent that you think would
Yeah,
be an amazing fit for the ethical agent network,
yeah.
what criteria do they have that kind of puts them above the rest?
Really simple, really simple. And it was Spencer Lawrence from Paramount who he's a member of the Ethical Agent Network, his agency. He said, just do the right thing. And if you have to think, is the right thing? And if you have to really think about it, then it's probably not the right thing. The right thing is always something you go, I could give you an example. So I remember once we cocked up something for a client. I thought we can't charge them for that. We just cannot. You know what they said? No, no, I'm happy to pay. Just give me a discount. I thought, nah, we just can't. We got that really wrong. Do it for free, but let's do it properly. Now I know agents have done similar things. You know, like it's normally I think a test of your ethics is it going to cost you money? Is it going to cost you time? I think that's a real simple test of ethics because listen, it's easy to do things fast track with certain cut corners, just get it out there. And that's whether it's a state agency or producing a pair of trainers. Yeah. But to do it ethically, I think takes a little bit more time, takes a little bit more thought. And I think the best agents do the right thing for their clients, for their community, and for their colleagues as well.
No, I really like that. So you touched on something earlier, actually, which I wanted to ask you on a bit of a side note, because in a state agency in the world, there's a big thing about working together rather than working against each other, and I think it's a bit of headliney stuff. I think below the surface, everyone's quite competitive still and wants to beat everyone else, sort of thing. But I look at yourself and Chris Watkins, who, from the outside, I think you guys have a very similar sort of market sharey sort of presence and that sort of stuff. Yet you
Yeah.
two are like bromance, and like you go on your LinkedIn profile, the top review is Christopher Watkins saying Jerry's amazing. If you want some content done, phone Jerry.
Right. You know what it is? Because Chris is honest. Because Chris is honest. Like when we first started off, don't get me wrong, he was in first. Yeah. Then we come along and we were like, and he'll openly admit, we made him raise his game. But then when he raised his game, we had to raise our game. And the others that had come in, and there are others, I I got to be careful what I say. I don't trust a couple of them because I've had dealings with them. Right? I'm not going to name their names, obviously, because you're not going to get anyone in trouble. But me and Chris have always got on well, always been honest. If I've got an area, and we work in a similar model, yeah, and you talk about collaboration, there is no way agents will collaborate and really share stuff in a group if their rivals are in that group. It does not happen. I don't care what anyone says. I tell you what, if anyone watches this, Chris, and goes, no, that's wrong. Me and my next door neighbours, we always share the best ideas, even though we're in competition and fighting for that instruction. If somebody comes and can prove that, I will give £200 to a charity of their choice. Yeah, because it doesn't happen. This is why business models that serve agencies like mine and Chris, we're area exclusive. So if you're in Tunbridge Wells, you'll be the only agent in Tunbridge Wells who gets access to our content. And Chris works in the same way. Yeah. These models where people say, oh, you can get access to our content, but anyone in the country can have it. I don't know how this business survive. They are the sort of pound shops of content. I'm not having this collaboration myth. Do you know
No.
what I mean? And you got to think as well, when people say we should all get together and collaborate, what's their agenda? Have they got a model where they're providing some sort of service where it relies on mass sales, or they need more than just the one agent per town? So Don't get me wrong, I see brilliant collaboration amongst agents, but it's in our WhatsApp groups or it's in Chris's Facebook groups where they're not competing. So I can tell you, Chris, like, say if me and you are agents, but you're in one town, I'm in another, but we get on. Oh, Chris, we discovered this little Facebook hack, right? Gets you loads of leads. Try it out, mate. Okay. If me and your rivals, I'd be a nutter to go, hello, mate. You know, most rivals, they don't like each other. I know this whole is professional and all that. If they're local rivals, in my experience, there's an element. They might say hello, but under their breath, they're going, "Arr," like that. 9 times out of 10, not all the time. So collaboration, nah, not in my experience. I don't see it. I don't see it.
It's nice that you and Chris have such a strong, I won't say bromance, but it's very much an open sort of book about you both think each other do a great job, and some might be a perfect fit for Chris, and some might be a perfect fit for yourself, and that's absolutely fine.
Chris said it once brilliantly. He said he's about enlarging the pie, not just taking his bit of it.
Oh,
Which
right.
is ironic because I think his family have got bakers or butchers. That's well over
Butchers,
counter.
yeah.
Is it a butcher's? Yeah. So that's where he's got that little example from.
There we go.
So
Always marketing.
yeah,
Good. So finally, just to kind of wrap things up. So if there was
yeah.
one bit of advice you could give estate agents today to produce better content, what do you reckon
Yes. I thought about this. I thought about this and I wrote it down. Where did I write it down? Because you asked me it, didn't you, before? Yeah, it would be have a weekly email and send it out consistently. So whatever you do with your content, be consistent because you could write the best blog in the world, right? Best blog is amazing, right? You only post it out once every 3 months. The person posting their blog out once every week that's decent, good enough, will always beat you or will always get more attention than yours. Because once you put that blog out that's amazing, if people don't see it sort of in the time it's been launched or you don't get it in front of enough people, it will get lost. But if you can turn up every week in somebody's inbox, that's why I say weekly emails with consistency, with good stuff that's helpful and educational. That's a big thing as well. Don't just help, educate. Do you know what I mean? It's very important because one of my biggest criticisms of the likes of Property Mark and NAEA and all that sort of stuff is they don't do enough educational content to help their members. And by that, what I mean is they need to be educating the public about what estate agents do. Now they've got the resources, they've got big marketing teams, they could have big fancy events. Spend some of that budget in doing your members a service where you're educating the public. Here's what the estate agent does. Here's how they do sales progression. Here's how they keep everything on track in a big property chain. Do content around that, you know. So yeah, consistency and have a weekly email in place.
Jerry, you've been a brilliant guest. Thank you so much for making time in
No
your diary.
worries.
It's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Jerry.